So today we have the long-awaited Mac video. I know it took me way too long to get this video up. I kept putting it off because I feel like I have so much to tell you guys and it's going to be a very long video, but I have time to film, I'm ready, and we're doing this today. So if you've been a subscriber or Instagram follower or anything like that for a little bit, you know that I've been working at Mac. I am a freelance makeup artist, that's my position title there. So in this video I'm just going to talk to you about how I landed the job, the interview process, and then also I asked you guys on my Instagram if you have any questions. So at the end of the video, or kind of like throughout, I'm going to be answering your guys' questions from Instagram. I do want to start this off by saying that there is not one way to get a job at Mac. Every interview process is different depending on your location, your manager, things like that. So if you want to get a job at Mac, this isn't the only way to go about doing it, and this is just kind of my experiences. Obviously everyone has a different experience. This is just what happened to me. Makes it sound like it's a bad thing. This is how I got the job. So I have always kind of done freelance makeup on the side throughout high school, throughout college. For some reason I never really thought to apply at Mac just because I kind of envisioned you having to go to cosmetology school. I don't know, it just never really popped in my head for some reason till I actually got a job at Sephora, and then one of my friends was like, why didn't you apply for Mac? That is a great question. So I started doing a bunch of So I started doing a bunch of research on how to get a job at Mac. At this point, I was still kind of up in the air about Sephora. Obviously, Mac is like my number one. If I got the job at Mac, I thought I was going to keel over and die because I would be so happy. So after I was like, oh yeah, maybe I could get a job at Mac, I just did a shit ton of research, like literally hours and hours of research. What you want to do is, first of all, the first time you go into the Mac counter, have your resume ready, wear all black, look like you would look if you work at Mac. You can't really write down your makeup skills on a piece of paper. The first impression that they're going to get of you is how you present yourself. Be full on decked out in full face of makeup. I'm going to work after this, so this is something that would be like appropriate to wear on your interview, and also just when you first drop off your resume. You want to show your makeup skills on your face, obviously. Be super bubbly, outgoing, say hi to everyone working there. Feel like you're almost being interviewed the second you walk into the store or the counter or whatever, so just present yourself as you would in an interview, basically. So after I dropped off my resume, the manager told me that she thinks there might be freelance positions opening up. Basically, unless you've worked at a makeup counter before, I don't think you have to start in freelance, but probably 90% of the people do start in freelance. I think it's cool that Mac hires from within, so once you're in freelance, then you can work your way up to like part-time, full-time positions if you want to. If not, you can do what I'm doing and just stay as freelance. And the cool thing about freelance is that you can move around. So whatever city I'm in, I can call up the Mac counters and be like, hey, I'm here. If you need people to work, I'm available. So that's something that's really great for me because being a college student and graduating soon and moving around, I don't know where I'm going to be yet. So that's just something that's really awesome, and that's why I love working freelance. So most people start in freelance unless you have significant experience or have worked at a counter for a while before, or whatever, some other circumstance. So about like a week went by and I decided to follow up with her, so I gave her a call and I was like, hey, I'm really interested in the freelance position, and she's like, thank you so much for checking back. I would just be really confident and persistent. Don't think that you're bothering them. Obviously, like, don't call them every day, but if you want the job, definitely follow up because that's going to show them that you're really serious about it and that you really want the job. So I followed up with her, and on the phone right then, she made an appointment with me to have an interview. From this point, I think this is where a lot of people have different experiences depending on, again, like the location, how big your store is, if it's a freestanding store, things like that. A lot of people go through a very intensive interview process. Not that mine wasn't intense, but I didn't have to go through as many stages, I think, as a lot of people do. So basically what she told me for the interview was that I would have to bring in my own model to do makeup on. I think she said I would have 30 minutes to do a daytime look and then 15 minutes to transform it into a nighttime look. This is like 6 months ago now, so if that's wrong, It goes by super fast, but that's what you have to be able to do if you're working in a MAC counter. You can't be sitting there doing someone's makeup for an hour when you have 20 other customers. So I think I had like 5 days to prepare for the interview. I sat down with my friend who is the model. I did it exactly as if I would do it in the interview, and we just practiced. I timed myself. We did it a couple times. If you don't have all MAC products to practice on, it's totally okay. I didn't either. What I did was just did a ton of research. Like I said, I looked up like dupes for the colors that I had so I could just like know what I was gonna be dealing with. I did a really neutral daytime eye. For the nighttime look, I just smoked it out with like carbon and then added Diva, I think, for the lipstick and the liner. Maybe a little bit more bronzer too. Also testing you based on the fact that you can talk to someone while you're doing your makeup and you can like schmooze with them. It's not just like you're sitting there in silence putting on their makeup. You have to act like they're a real customer, and you have to act exactly as you would if you were working there. I think the part that I was most nervous about was the sanitation stuff. I was reading things online about people having like sanitation horror stories during their interview, and it really freaked me out, but luckily my manager wasn't that strict about it, and she kind of was like helping me through the process. First of all, use as little brushes as possible, because that means that you're showing the client that they can do this many things with only 3 brushes, and then they're more likely to buy the 3 brushes, but also you can keep a cleaner workstation. So what you want to do is start off by laying out tissues all over the counter. I put tissue for like all of the eye products, all the face products, the lip products, and then the brushes you'll have in your brush belt. So you basically want to try and keep everything as organized as possible. When you're using any of the lipsticks, lip glosses, mascaras, things like that, you need to use disposable wands and you can't re-dip. There's a lot of videos and articles and stuff about how to sanitize makeup at MAC, so I'm not going to go too in depth about that process. Also, a big tip to help you throughout the interview: if you pick like 3 or 4 products and just know a few facts about each of those things, the manager is going to see that you did your research and that not only you know how to apply foundation, but you know why you're applying that foundation on their skin type. Make sure you ask their skin type first thing. That's a big one. Just like ask questions like you normally would with a client. I made sure I brought up the Back to Mac program, the Viva Glam Fund, things like that, just to show that you are able to sell MAC basically, and that you did your research. So I thought after that interview I would have like a sit down interview with her or something like that, like at a different time, but she actually just did it right then. So after we did the makeup, she said it looked really good. She loved it. She took pictures of it to show the other manager. We went outside and sat on a bench and just had kind of like a sit down interview. Basically asked me like normal interview questions. You know, obviously, why do you want to work for MAC? Just typical interview questions. So just have those answers kind of prepared. Said that she would get back to me within a few days. So I ended up calling her back a few days later because I had to let Sephora know whether or not I was taking the job. Obviously MAC was my #1 choice, so if I got the job I was going to take it in a second. She just told me on the phone like, we would love to offer you a freelance position at MAC, and I was ecstatic. If you were following me on Instagram that day, I was probably a little obnoxiously happy, but it was really exciting for me. It's still kind of crazy to me that I'm working at MAC just because like it's MAC. It's just really fun for me and it doesn't feel like working. With that being said, know what you're getting into. Working at MAC is not an easy job. You're on your feet for, you know, the whole shift, so like basically 8 to 9 hours. Definitely think that if you're interested in working at MAC, go for it. You don't need to go to cosmetology school or anything like that, which I think is cool because it's all about your skills and your ability to sell and communicate with people. So if you know how to do those things, then you're set. Raquel 13A says, do they make you try out everything? First of all, I don't think make me is the right verb. I would love to try out everything. Again, this is speaking from freelance. It's a lot different if you're permanent because that means that you go through MAC training. I mean, you can go around in the store and obviously try out anything. They don't like send you home with a shit ton of stuff and be like, hey, play with this. If you're curious with stuff, like try it out in the store. My first month working there, I was kind of thrown in during like Black Friday and the holidays, so that was an interesting experience. I would just like go around and they have this whole book that tells you in detail about every product. I would just like read through that book when there was free time or downtime and just go around and like test out the products. It's hard when you first start because you don't know where anything is, you have no idea about the actual details or how to sell the product. So it's really just about like listening to your coworkers, seeing how they explain products, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. It's Emily04 says, what do you do on a daily basis at work? Just helping people find the products that they're looking for. There's different like events and things like that. So prom season was like a couple weeks ago, so we had like chairs out. We just did prom makeup for like 5 hours, which was really fun for me. That's what I love. I love like sitting down with one person and focusing on them and being able to talk to them and like find out about their life. I don't know. That's what's interesting for me. But sometimes it does get really, really fast paced. So if you can't multitask well, this probably isn't the job for you. I answered a couple of these questions already. Sanitation questions. Did you get annoyed having to wear a full face of makeup every day? No, and I think that if you get annoyed having to wear a full face of makeup every day, then MAC isn't the job for you. People that work at MAC, makeup is our passion. I love putting on a full face of makeup. It's like my canvas. I get to literally create any kind of look, and it's also really fun because a lot of the times it's not something that I would just wear out on the town for a day, so you get to really go crazy and experiment and just, I don't know, it's really creative, and that's the part that I love about doing makeup. Sammy Davis says, what makeup did you wear to your interview? Did you bring a portfolio / can you show us a little bit of it if you do? So to the actual interview, I wore like a matte brown smoky eye diva. I basically did like a dark vampy look because that's what I feel like I'm the most comfortable in. Don't do something that is out of your comfort zone. Go with what is you. And be able to point out if she asks like, oh, what's on your eyes today? Even if you didn't use MAC products, you need to be ready to say what MAC product you did use. So if she or a customer or something asks like, oh, what's on your eyes or what's on your lips, just make it up, go with it, be like, oh, this is MAC Brown Script and this is MAC Diva, even if that's not what it is. Just because it is an interview, you're not there to sell Kat Von D, you're there to sell MAC. Did you bring a portfolio? I didn't bring a portfolio. I know other MAC interviews do it a lot differently. Sometimes it's like a really intense group interview where you sit down and you bring your portfolio and things like that. So if you get to the point where you get an interview, I would just ask the manager or whoever's interviewing you, should I bring a portfolio? It's better to ask than to show up and not have a portfolio. I already answered a lot of these. Kaylee Jordan 18 says, is it a really stressful job? I guess it depends on what stresses you out. In my opinion, it can get a little bit stressful. You know, depending on your location, again, we have a really, really busy, small MAC location. So it does get pretty crammed and pretty stressful at times, but like I said, if you're not down for like a high-paced work environment, then probably shouldn't work at MAC. And this one is from Kendall's Picks or Kendall Ray on YouTube. Shout out to my girl. Kendall says, what are the dumbest things people ask you when they shop? Haha, sorry, you know this is my personality and I have to know. Dumbest things people ask you. I have had people come and like try to return Studio Fix lotion or something with like sour cream in it. Just like weird shit like that that people think they can get away with. You don't want to like offend them, but you have to be like, yo, this is sour cream. I'm trying to think of other moments. Oh, sometimes people will walk in and be like, hey, is this Sephora? Or they'll ask like, oh, do you guys have that famous Kat Von D lipstick? No, but we do have 500 famous MAC lipsticks. A lot of the times people ask like what the difference is between MAC and Bare Minerals. I don't judge people based on how much they know about makeup, but there definitely have been some interesting questions that have been asked. Hannah something says, what's the best thing about working at MAC? I always tell people that working at MAC doesn't really feel like working to me. I also just like being able to like express yourself and wear whatever you want and act however you want. Well, no, you can't act however you want. There's just like a fun work environment and a good group of people that usually work at MAC. If I didn't get to your question, it's just because I have to stop filming and go to work now. The questions are still coming in on Instagram. So if I didn't answer your question, leave it down below and I will write a response to you. We can talk. I just want to say that if you are talented at makeup, have a passion for makeup, and it's what you love, I would say go for it. It never hurts to apply. For me, Mac is the perfect place to work. I love being able to wear full face of makeup. I love being able to wear all black clothes. I do it anyways on a daily basis. You can have tattoos, you can have crazy hair colors. It's just an awesome place to work. I literally have nothing bad to say about the Mac community. All of my coworkers are awesome. My managers are awesome. I've had zero bad experiences so far. I just think it's a really great job, and if you're interested in it, go for it. So I hope that was helpful for you and answered some of your guys' questions. If you like this video and now you want to be a Mac girl, click the thumbs up button so I know. If you have any specific questions about like the interview process or anything like that, just leave them in the down bar? Just leave them in the comment section and I will be sure to answer those. If you want to see a video on the look I'm wearing right now, ready with me video for this look. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.